Hello. So today I do want to do a more natural wedding look, something that I feel like a lot of my clients want. Nothing too overdone, just enhancing your natural features. You just a little extra glow. So in this video, I'm going to just show you different techniques, different kind of colors, different tools to create that more natural bridal look. You could also use this as a wedding guest or a bridesmaid, but it's just a little bit more of that natural enhanced look, but still looking polished. So I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so I am going to start with the Urban Decay Primer. So for me specifically, I have super oily eyelids. So I have to use something to alleviate that oil. So I do use primer. I actually rediscovered this one. This one has been around for like 20 plus years. So I just decided, why not start using it again? I remember it used to work really great when I was younger. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to try it again. So I just place it with the wand. You're just using a super light layer of it, not a ton. And then just use your finger to smooth it out. I am going to take the Huda Beauty. This one is Nougat 2.5G. I'm going to use this as my eyeshadow base. Oh man, I just dripped a little bit on my couch. I'm just going to dab the itty bittiest bit. I'm not going to put a ton. I just want it to even it out. I don't want it to like fully mask. Although I have seen, oh man, how am I going to get that out? I have seen online people really putting it on thick. I feel like when you're younger, that's fine. But as you get older, if you put anything on the eyelids really, really thick, it will look more creased. It'll have more wrinkles. So when I'm doing things like that, this is the reason why I don't end up putting it on as thick, is because like the little fine lines and wrinkles, you know, they'll stand out a little bit more if I end up putting too much on. So I am just going to take one of my favorite brushes. This is the Nicola Beauty Beauty brush in N16. This is great for concealer. I personally love it for my eyelids because it's not too big, not too small. It's literally just like the perfect size for my eyelids. Spreading something out, it will take a little bit longer to spread out. But if you have something that's like big enough, it'll spread it out fast. But if it's too big, then you're kind of getting it everywhere. You're not concentrating it where you need it. So this is why this one's really nice, because it's, you know, not too huge. Now on this eye, I can already feel like it's a little bit thick. So I'm going to take the side that I didn't put it on, so the clean side, and I'm actually just going to press it. So that'll actually get any excess concealer. And you can even see like that very little bit of concealer that I used. It ended up actually giving me really good coverage. This one I know I've heard numerous times, Shroom. It's just like a neutral kind of bone-based shimmer, which I think is perfect for that kind of, I mean, what I see online, like what people are kind of gravitating towards for their eye makeup, is that like highlighted, like super natural, but still has that sheen to it, glow. So I'm going to put this all over my lid. I'm basically kind of going up to right where it starts peeking out, so that way we can kind of see that shadow and it also opens up the eye. And I am going to actually put this on the brow bone. I feel like the sheen on the brow bone is making a comeback, so why not? Honestly, anytime there's like a trend coming back, I love to rediscover it because I really feel like they've all been done. They've all been done 20 different ways, but it's fun to start doing your makeup a certain way that you haven't done it in a really long time and just play. So I'm just kind of pressing it. That's another thing. A lot of times people swipe a lot when they're doing their eyeshadow, and pressing is really good because you have a little bit more control of where you're putting it, and it does actually apply a little bit more product when you press it into the skin. You know what I did notice? These weird like chunks with this shadow. I mean, it's not a big deal. They're easy to take off, but I'm like, what's up with those chunks, man? All right, simple, easy, just putting it on the inside of the lid and on the brow bone. So now I am gonna take more of a brown. I'm gonna actually use, this is a melt, why can't I talk today? Melt Cosmetics shadow that came in their, I don't remember, but I'm going to list it in the description. It came in one of their palettes. I depot a lot of my palettes to put them in my kit, and so sometimes I don't know the names, but I do know the palettes that they came in. So I am going to actually use this brush, the same one that has the highlight, but I do need to wipe it, and I don't have a towel with me. Hold on one sec. Okay, so I just took a janky towel, and I'm just dusting off the residue of that light color, and just using that same brush. It is a flatter brush, but when I want like a good concentration of eyeshadow color, I will load up a flat brush, and it'll actually give you a great color payoff, so that I'm not sitting there dipping back in and trying to get extra color on my brush. It kind of gives me like the most saturation and the most depth out of that color because it is dense and flat. So that way it doesn't take me as long to build up my eyeshadow color. So I always start at the lash line so that the most concentration is there. And then I slowly start bringing it up. Now, as far as how far you want to bring it out, it just depends on how dramatic you want it. So a lot of people like doing like that fox eye and bringing it way out. Some people like to kind of create almost like an almond shape. So you kind of bring it just slightly out, but a little bit more up. I like the almond shape, so that's what I'm going to do, where I'm going to kind of bring it a little bit out, not super far out. And then I'm going to kind of bring it up here. So wherever you put that dark, it's going to push back. So you can see it makes that eye look like it's going up and out. And I'm just kind of pressing it and bouncing it to kind of get my placement. And it's always good, like before you do start blending it out, do the same thing on the other side so it's easier to make that symmetry. And it's just, I mean, I feel like most people know what symmetry is, but if you don't, it's just creating identical, or as close as you can get to identical from this side to this side so they look the same. And most people in the world, look, there's another one of those chunks. So weird. Like, what is that? Just like these white chunks from the eyeshadow. most people do not have completely symmetrical eyes. Like for me, I have this like extra bulge right in here. So I have to bring this out just a little extra. Then I bring it out on this side so that way this side matches this side. And the other thing too is I'm going to show how you can kind of clean up the eye. So if it accidentally goes like a little bit lower or isn't the shape that you exactly want it, I'll show you how you can kind of adjust it. Because on this eye, I tend to sometimes like not be as perfect because first of all, I use my left hand, which is not my dominant hand. And then this eye is like I'm not going to say redheaded stepchild because redheads are gorgeous. Like, what? Why do we call it a redheaded stepchild? I feel like redheads are phenomenal looking. So I would say it's, I don't know. It's just not as good as this eye. I felt like if I said something, I might be offensive to a certain group, and I got really scared and didn't want to say anything. But this is my ugly eye. Let's just say that. Which I shouldn't even say it's my ugly eye. It's just an eye that is different. I don't even want to offend my left eye. All right. So now kind of creates that really nice almond shape. So you can also, after you've done your placement, take maybe a fluffy brush and kind of blend out the edges. So that way they're nice and soft. And we are going to layer like other brown colors, but for this, I am doing the technique that I usually do with my brides where I'm making everything pretty as I go along. So you're never doing like something that looks like crazy and garish. You're just slowly building up the color so that if, let's say, for some reason you run out of time, you have to run out of the, wherever you're getting ready, you can throw on some mascara, maybe throw on a little concealer, blush, and you can go. So it's always just good, especially when it's like you have to be on top of your time management to have it looking nice and pretty as you go along. So in saying that, I'll just do my concealer while I'm waiting for this to kind of set, and I'll kind of look at it and see if there's things that I want to change. So I am going to use the Natasha Denona. This is one of my favorites, C2. It's a color corrector. I'm going to use a little bit of that under my eye. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit here too. I get a little darker on my lip, so I like to use a color corrector just to kind of brighten up that area. And since we have it out, I am going to use just like the smidgiest smidge of the concealer I used on my lid. I'm just going to do like a dot. And we'll let that dry for just a second. So while that's drying, I am going to just take a little bit of a smaller brush. This is the Beauty Angie Hot Flashy 504. I have to adjust because my back. So I am going to take the Toasted from Benefit. It's their Hula bronzer. This one's like kind of, I think it's the deepest tone of their Hula bronzers. And I'm just going to take it and I'm going to build up that crease. So I'm going to start just by dabbing it near the lash line. And then I'm going to slowly bring it up. And I'm going to just lightly blend it a little further up. Further than I put that other color. Just to give it a little extra depth. So I'm kind of just bringing it just a little further out and a little further up. And I do like this brush because it is so teeny weeny. And especially for me, I have smaller eyelids. I personally like a brush that is a little smaller for things like this because I have more control, and it also helps me to do these like little intricate kind of sections of the eye. Create that lift. Now I am going to take a little bit of that and bring it up here between that lid color and my brow. I always like to round out this area because you can see that actually creates even a little bit more shape to my eye. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not using a ton. So when I dip into the shadow, I literally do like the littlest bit, especially when I'm blending like this. Very pretty. We could even leave it like that. I might add more, but not at this particular moment. So I am going to go back to that same brush I used for my lid. I'm going to use this for my concealer. And I'm just going to press. And then, so I always like start here in the inner corner because that's where you have the most concentration. And then you just slowly feather it out further and further. So I'm going to just put a little bit under here. And then I'm just going to dab like a little bit on that rosy area. But you see, you can see how it kind of smooths and brightens that area. Same thing under here. I am going to stretch this a little bit more because I don't want as much coverage in this area. Like this is my problem area where it like a lot of texture shows up. Same thing under here, except this I'm going to spread because I don't want it as thick. Any areas that you feel like you have a lot of pores or a lot of like fine lines and wrinkles, you actually want to put less product in those areas. So like my chin sometimes gets kind of like it gets a little crease here, so I'm not going to press like I do on my eye area. See, my eyes, I want the coverage here. So that's why I kind of press it, because this is where I tend to get a little bit of discoloration. And it is technically like I get that like almost like a hollowness there, but then I also have my puffiness. So for me, I think it's more of just like an insecurity thing that I like to build coverage there. It just makes me feel better. It makes me feel like I'm concealing it, even though like, you know, no matter what, in certain lighting, you're going to be able to see like the hollow and you're going to be able to see my under eye bags, but just one of those things. But I don't put like so much on there, but I do put just a little bit of extra for insecurity purposes. And now another thing you can do, like I was saying, if you need to clean up areas, like I always need to clean up this little area. I always go just a smidge lower here. You can just take what you're left on your concealer. And then you can also, if you want to like make your edges softer, you can also just use whatever's left over on top of that shadow. Beauty miss. All right, so now I am gonna take a little bit of a brown liner and I'm gonna tight line. So that's taking the eyeliner and you press and wiggle it in between your lashes. So you're trying to get it as close as you can to the lash line, like where your lashes are growing out of. And I've actually been using this KimChi one, Stage Proof Eyeliner. I really love it. It goes on really smooth. And that's what you want when you're doing tight lining so that it's easy to get on. So you just take your eye and you just kind of press and wiggle it. And like if you get like irritated, give yourself like a second to blink. And then it just, see how it just looks like a very, very thin line. So if you don't even want to do top liner, you could put that on, put on your mascara, and you're good to go. Beautimus. All right, so something I just started doing again because I was looking through my old photos of my brides and bridesmaids, and I really loved the Fenty Beauty, her matchsticks. They don't make as many anymore, but I found this little, they make them in these itty bitty sizes, which is good because you go through them so fast, but using, I think this is Starstruck as like an under highlight before I do my other complexion products. It gives like this lit from within look. And because I am like a little bit more on the oily side, I like this because it almost is like a cream to powder. You can see it's like, has this like shine to it. So I'm just gonna hit the high points, nose. And this isn't gonna be super like crazy because I'm putting it underneath. And you know what I did the other day and I really liked it, as I used it as a base for my lip color. So it has like a little bit lit from within for lip color. All right. I think I have to let my cat in. Hold on. So I am gonna do liquid liner. I'm gonna use, one of my favorites is the high precision liner from Sephora collection. Really, really great. I just love how smooth it is, especially if you do have more métier eyes. So it does have a pretty good wand on it. I tend to like to use eyeliner. Actually, I prefer something thinner than this, but I have to go, I put all my good eyeliners in my kits. So I have to go to Michael's and get like a longer bristle liner. I let my cat in. Now she wants back out. Okay, so what I usually do is I will take the eyeliner and I usually have like wax paper and I put it onto the wax paper and then I use a separate brush to apply it. So I think I'm gonna use this one. This is the Windsor and Newton Cottman 00. Their brushes at Michael's. They like have a whole bunch, but usually you just need like a very thin. I like it a little longer than this. It allows you to have a little bit more flexibility with your wing. All right, so I'll try and do one on camera and see how it goes. So I always start like almost the middle and lean your head kind of back. And you have to time your blinks. So you can feel when you're about to blink, you'll just give yourself a second. And I always do it in little sections. With my eyes, you kind of have to do that. My eyes have always been a little challenging for wings. So now I am going to take, I want to figure this out so you guys can see and I can see and we can all see. So I'm going to take it and you kind of almost like, you drag like on its side like this. And then towards the end, you lift the bristle. Like you kind of lift it up to create that wing. All right, I'm not going to talk on this part. Oh my God, what a nightmare. I cannot see very well. Well, this is good because then I can show you how to correct it. I feel like I'm like, do I need contacts for this? All right, we're getting somewhere. It is so hard to see. Okay, I got the basis of the shape at least. So then I will show you guys how to kind of create the shape that you want. So, a great technique, and actually this brush I discovered worked really good for this. The Nikki Rose N21 BK Beauty brush. This one to kind of correct and resculpt your eyeliner, I really love. So I usually take a primer, so you can use the Urban Decay, but I like to use my face primer. I didn't use this for my face because I don't usually use primer that often on my face because usually my skincare will do the job. So I take a little bit of that primer and I'm going to coat the brush. It's like a little pointy brush. And I'm going to kind of just shape this liner the way I want it. Because it got a little too bumpy. And then it's going to have a little bit of residue of liner. So you have to dust that off. And then you dip back in to the primer again once you clean off that residue. And then you can kind of adjust the liner and create a little bit more of a smoother surface. Like even on these parts that are on the top, you can kind of blend it out. Make it a little smoother. Especially if you're more mature. Sometimes things can get kind of bumpy. And then I can also, what I'm probably going to do is put like a little liner on top. Cool. It's a little more curved up than I would prefer, but hey, I'm doing this on camera. It's a little more challenging. I'm going to give myself a break. Although I kind of want to, I know I say that and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to make it a little pointier on the end. Just like the smidgiest smidge. But the important part is actually cleaning off the brush in between So that way you don't have a mess of eyeliner just smudging all over. Just kind of precisions it. Cute. Okay, I like it. So the other eye is my more challenging eye, so I am going to do that off camera, and then I'll be back. Okay, so now I'm going to bring it in the inside. So I always do little sections when it comes to eyeliner. So doing the end here, doing the end here, bringing it inside here, bringing it inside here. It also helps you to like make sure that, you know, one side doesn't get so thick, because if you accidentally eyeline a little bit extra here, you can eyeline a little extra there. So for doing this inside, you want to angle your brush in the direction that you're going, and you basically just kind of almost like press and dot the eyeliner as you go in. So you're almost just taking it and you're dragging it and you're pushing it against your lash line. It makes it really easy to get that really close line to your lash line if you push it against your lashes. Same thing over here. And this one actually curves a little bit more down, so I have to angle it a little more down. You can even see me pushing on my lashes. And I accidentally bumped it right there, so we'll fix that. Actually, I can just take that brush I was using. Wherever I put it. The Beauty. And I'm just going to take that and just remove it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Actually, it's not easy peasy. Eyeliner is kind of hard. Especially as you get older, because your eyes start to droop. So you kind of have to really angle it kind of a little bit more downward, so that way you can still see it when the eye is relaxed and down. Cool. All right, so now I am going to put a little bit of foundation. I'm not that into foundation recently, so I really love this new Natasha Denona Hy-glam foundation, and I use like very, very little. I'm only going to use a light wash because I got most of the coverage where I wanted it under my eyes with the concealer. So I'm going to take the Nicola Rose number N17 with the lighter. This is for liquid. And I'm just going to use the ittiest bittiest bit. I always like to kind of work it into the brush first and then apply it onto the skin. So I'm just going to kind of, remember when I was talking about stretching it, pressing and stretching the foundation. So you're just taking it and you're buffing it into the skin. And the other thing I have noticed as I've gotten older is when I put on foundation, it looks so heavy. So I do not like to put a lot anymore because it looks like if I'm wearing like the sheerest amount of foundation, it ends up looking like I'm wearing full coverage. So I don't really like to put a ton of it on. I just use a little bit and just dust it over. Like it's almost like a tinted moisturizer kind of almost effect. And then we're also putting, remember that highlighter I put on? So we're putting this over that highlighter to make it look like it's coming from within. A little bit more. Now, I've never really been a super full, thick coverage kind of person in my whole makeup career. I don't like the feeling of heavy makeup, so this is what I tend to like on myself, and even a lot of my clients that like how I do the makeup, this is usually what they're drawn to as well. I can do the heavy makeup, but it is so hard. It is so hard for me to make someone look very, very thick coverage. So I'm just kind of pressing it in. Beautiful. All right, cool. Complexion's looking good. While that's drying down, I'm actually going to put on my fake lashes. I'm not going to do that on screen. I'll probably do a different video for putting on fake lashes. I just don't want this to be too long. So I'm going to put on mascara and lashes off camera. Okay, so now I am going to put on a little cream blush. So I definitely highly recommend using creams and powders on your wedding day because it ends up wearing longer throughout the day. And then in the photos, it actually shows up more without having to put such a heavy layer of either just the one powder or just the one cream. So doing 2 layers of cream and then powder, it wears through the day and actually photographs much better. So I am going to take that same brush I used for the foundation, the Nicola Rose N17. I'm just going to dip it in. This is the Patrick Ta. It has cream and powder. So these are kind of great because you get both. I think I am going to use a different powder blush, but you could definitely use the blush in here. It's very natural. This one's called She's Seductive. So this is really great for like light to medium skin tones, for sure, because it's just looks so natural and so much like skin. And again, I'm doing that pressing method where I just pat it into the skin. So I'm not rubbing, I'm kind of pressing into the product, just getting a little bit. And I always like to kind of start right here with my blush. I feel like you can handle the most concentration there because, you know, if we put it here, we'll get that baby doll effect. If you put it too high over here, it can kind of look a little bit more like a stripe. So kind of right in the middle is where I like to start. And I do like these little, it's almost like a tornado kind of effect where I start in the center and then I just slowly blend it into a circle. And then for me, because I have the puffy eyes, I do bring just the slightest bit of my blush up into that area. So it ends up kind of masking it just a little bit. It kind of gives the illusion that it's not there. And then whatever's left over on my brush goes onto the temples. Now, I'm not doing that really like dramatic, super high up blush. Just because I feel like for wedding makeup, it should be something natural, not as much like super trend. I know I did put a highlight on a brow, but it's so subtle. So I personally, like if I was just doing a generic bride kind of look, this is what I would go for, where it just looks like a natural flush like I had been running. It's not overdone. Same thing on the other side. And my touch is very light. I'm not pressing super hard. I'm just doing these light little pats. And look at my lips. I actually just had lip balm on. I've got like a hair somewhere here. I put lip balm on and I just put that Fenty Beauty, the Starstruck on top. And just with my natural lip color, that's actually really pretty. So like even if I didn't want to wear a lip color, I feel like this would be like a great natural color. I'm still going to put a little lip color on though. Same thing. Dab a little on the nose. And for me, I like to put a little bit on my chin because remember I was saying like my chin can kind of get like texture on it. So like putting a little bit of that blush, it'll kind of mask that. Beautiful. And so with that Fenty, it actually came with the corresponding contour with the Starstruck. So, and I actually have had both of these. I got them when they first came out, and I do love this one. It's actually my perfect contour shade. I can actually like put this on so heavy, and because of the color being so great for me, it never looks super overdone. Put a little bit on the nose. I want to put a little bit on the jawline. I'll just do it on one side so you can see. So I'm not worried about this looking heavy because I know this color. I can put it on super, super thick and I know it blends out really, really nice. Same thing. It still has a little bit of that blush on it, but that's okay. I don't mind my blush blending into my contour. Yeah, see, that just blends out so nicely. I loved these sticks when they first came out. Like, they actually got me super inspired to play with makeup again. I was kind of going through like a little bit of a slump with my makeup, and then these sticks came out, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to use this on my eyes. I'm going to use this on my cheeks. I'm going to use this on my lips. And I just got reinvigorated. It's kind of sad that they're like not as popular anymore, so there's not as many colors. I dig the formula, but that's just beauty business. So whenever I'm doing my bronzer, I actually like to use the brush and just brush kind of up and in because it kind of helps to create the peak on my nose. So for powder, I'm going to use the Huda Beauty Easy Bake in Cupcake. I'm going to take, so two of my favorite brushes to use are probably these two, the Nicola Rose N14 BK Beauty. This one's really nice for like a soft set where it's not going to be too heavy, but when I really want to pack on that powder, I really love the Angie Hot Flashy BK Beauty 506. I think for today, I do want it to be a little bit softer. So I'm just going to take that. Oh, I left the window open. And I'm just going to kind of roll it in there. And this has a lot on it, but my forehead gets really shiny. So I am actually going to put the majority, just lift these, of that on my forehead, not to waste any product. And then I'm going to take what's left over, actually before I do that, just to make sure that everything's in there. It's always good before you set. I'm pretty sure it's not creasing or anything, but to just go in with your brush with no product and just make sure everything's nice and smooth. Beautimous. So now I'm just going to take this. This is another reason I love this brush is the shape of it. You can get really close to the lash line. And for me, I sometimes still over powder myself because I am extremely oily. And I've been oily my whole life. So sometimes it's really hard for me to like pull my hand back and stop myself from super, super matting my skin down. Because as you get older, if it's really matte, it makes you look older. it makes those lines stick out. It makes the pores more apparent. So you got to just be careful and not go overboard. But also, if you have the right amount of powder, it actually has the opposite effect where it actually makes, God, I need to stop saying actually so much. It makes your makeup look smoother. And you can even see that from side to side. You can see all that texture. On this side, it's nice and smooth. So it's creating that balance. I mean, that's what it comes down to a lot of times with makeup, is creating balance. Not too oily, not too shiny, not too matte, not too shimmery. It's like you got to get that right in the middle spot. I am going to use a blush that I recently purchased. Sweet Enough. This is a mineralized blush from MAC. One thing I have to say, because I haven't used a ton of their products, how you open this is so annoying. There's like a little lip, but that you don't use that to open it. You go into this like this area to open it, which is actually kind of hard. Like it would make sense to have the lip. Oh well, what are you gonna do? So now I'm gonna do the same thing. Bounce this on top. I do like this blush a lot. It's very natural, which I love. Because I love to put on a lot of blush. And sometimes I can overdo it and then I have to like correct it by putting powder on top of it. So I love this because it's very, very natural. As far as bronzer, I think I am going to use the Toasted that I used as my eyeshadow. It's a little dark for me, but what I can do is I put a little on my brush, warm it up on my hand. You can kind of see. Get it all spread in there and then just lightly put it on top. A lot of times I do end up like using like shades that are 1 or 2 shades darker than me and just using it like not 1 to 2 shades. That one's probably like, it's pretty dark, but just using it sparingly, like put it on the brush and really work it into the brush so that it's not so heavy. Because that way you just use less product, but you get a really nice application of bronzer. I always go a little bit heavier on my neck. I like to push it back. Because again, I don't have a strong chin. It's a weak chin. And I'm realizing you can hear my toaster oven. Oh well. Beautiful. Now we're going to do lips, but I'll be back. And for the brows, I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm going to take the Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is soft brown gel. And this is really nice because it's so fast and easy. I'm just going to put this in my brows just to kind of shape them and give them a little tint. Same thing on the other side. And then I'm brushing them up as well. Simple. so now I am going to do the lips. So I have really been liking this combination I've been doing. I'll have to insert a picture because I feel like this camera makes everything really warm, and I feel like this color that I use, it ends up being a little bit more cooler than it appears on my camera. So I'm going to start with the Huda tint. I love this stuff. I use it all the time. Like, it is not that hot pink in real life. It's more of a red. So I do like to do a little overdrawing with the stain. So I'm going to ring it up. Same thing on the other side. Although I have been talking about wanting to do pink again. I haven't done pink lips in a long time, and I saw, I think it's Traders. One of the girls on it was wearing this pink lip. And I was like, oh my god. Pink lips are so beautiful. Basically, this looks like a pink lip, so. All right, so that's my base. It looks really pink, but it's not. And then I'm going to take one of my favorite products, Malala by Stila. These are lip stains. They are amazing. So I use this to kind of almost contour my cute Izzo. So I'm kind of taking that cute Izzo and almost like using a darker color to push it back. And then the same thing on the bottom here. And then I'm just going to use this brush. And I'm going to kind of blend it. Now, these stains are really great for long wear, but I always end up layering other things with them because they end up kind of looking a little bit splotchy if you just wear them by themselves. So one of my favorite lip liners are the Too Faced Extreme Lip Liners. And this one is called I Do, so perfect for a bridal look. I'm going to use that to kind of even out this stuff. So I'm kind of almost avoiding the inside of my lip and just doing mostly the perimeter. So I'm kind of even shading a little bit in the corners. Pretty. Now, something I like to do, I like to take a stain and I like to mix it with a specific primer. It's an aqua face primer by Estee Lauder. It's the futuristic aqua brilliance. It's really nice because it kind of shears out the lip stain because I don't want it so thick. I want it like a little bit thinner. I don't have a lip brush. All right, so I'm taking a little bit of this lip stain from Sephora collection. It doesn't exist anymore. It's discontinued, so. But any kind of lip stain would probably work most likely. I'm going to use just a little bit of that primer. So it's going to dilute the pigment so it's not as thick, and it gives it more of like a sheer consistency. And that particular primer, the Aqua Brilliance, is very hydrating. So it's perfect to use on the lips. So you can see, instead of it being like a thick, it's more of like a sheer. So I'm going to use this almost like a lip liner as well. We did this today before the gym, and I really like how it looked. Yeah, the corners. Beautiful. I feel like I need just a little bit more blush. So I am going to dip in to She's Seductive. Yeah, She's Seductive, and I am going to use the powder. I feel like that one I did is just a little too natural with this lip. I need a little more color. Yeah, that's better. Most of the time I feel like I end up doing more than one blush, because I'll put on like a soft blush before I put on the lip color, and then I'll put on the lip color, and then I'll be like, wait, I need more blush. Yeah, super pretty. I like it. Gorgeous. And then one last step I do like to do, especially for something that I want to wear a long time, is I actually do end up putting my translucent powder on top of my lid. This is an old trick we used to use before we had matte lip colors. We would have to put translucent powder to make things long wear, but it still works to this day. So I'm gonna leave that on there for a few minutes, and then I'll be back. So you can see I'm already getting shiny again. So I am going to use my little packed brush for my powder. Powder. And I'm going to get those areas that I tend to get extra shiny. And put that extra matte. Wow. Wow. And then if you want to like bring out the structure, you can even do like especially because my face is, even though I'm older, I still have a pretty round face. Still haven't lost that much volume to kind of bring out the structure a little bit more. Bring out those cheekbones a little bit more. And the lips can just dust off. And that is the finished look. Something simple, easy, very natural. Just like a little enhancement. Create that glow. So, yeah. I hope you like it. All right, everybody. And here is the finished look. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you have any questions. Reach out to me on Instagram if you want to book me, if you're in the Conejo Valley, Ventura County, Santa Barbara, Goleta, anything like that. I also do makeup lessons to teach, so reach out if you're interested. And let me know if there's anything you guys want me to kind of go over. I definitely would. And I hope this was helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you think it was helpful. And I think that's it, you guys. It was something. We did something. Good, bad, it was something. All right. Well, have fun playing with your makeup, and I'll see you next time. Bye.